Good. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight virtually. My name is Owen Schwartz and I'm with Jet Travel and Tours here in Ashland. We are getting excited about our hosted group tour to Switzerland, September 1st through the 8th in 2024. And so we had a wonderful opportunity to reach out to Switzerland Tourism and get to learn more about this beautiful country. And so we'd just like to say welcome to Florin and thank you so much for being here, and we'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and very welcome to a little presentation about Switzerland. I'm very excited to talk to you, and it's actually really great that you're soon going to Switzerland in September next year. Quickly about myself, so you know who is speaking to you. Myself, my name is Florin. I'm based here in New York. Always feel free to reach out. We actually have a service center where you can reach out if you have questions about the upcoming trip to Switzerland, if you need help. So really feel free to reach out. I mainly do trade relations, so I work with tour operators, travel agents here in the US, mainly actually in the Midwest. I haven't made it to Ashland. I've been in Milwaukee, which was beautiful, and I really hope to make it up there once so I can do a little Switzerland presentation up there. Hopefully one day I will make it. But let's dive in. Just trying to change the slides here. How to get to Switzerland. I mean, you might have heard we have a really great airline, the Swiss International Airlines, and they have amazing connections from North America to Switzerland. You see them all here. Probably the closest airport with a direct connection for you would be Chicago. We have daily flights out of Chicago to Zurich in Switzerland, and you see it here. There are many other connections as well. Maybe some other ones that could be interesting. I'm not sure. We have a new direct flight as of next year from Toronto, directed to Switzerland, Washington DC as well, and also Atlanta with Delta. And for those of you who don't know Switzerland, maybe some of you know already, so this part you can skip or you don't have to listen. Switzerland is obviously in the heart of Europe. It's bordering all different countries like Germany in the north, France in the west, then Austria in the east, and in the south we have an Italian-speaking part. And that's probably also why we have four main languages in Switzerland. So the orange yellow part, that's the German-speaking part. Then we have in the west, we have the French-speaking part. In the south, we have the Italian-speaking part. And then we even have a fourth language. It's called Romansh. Romansh is it's a pretty seldom language. Actually, I don't speak it. I also don't understand it. It comes from the Romans back in the days, so it kind of stick to certain regions in Switzerland, but it's part of really our national languages. They even have their own television channel, and yeah, just a little fun fact about that. And once you are in Switzerland, once you land in Switzerland, actually the best way to get around, or what I highly recommend to get around, is by public transportation. Public transportation in Switzerland, it's really well established. You can really go from the big cities to our little mountain villages by public transportation, and it's such a good way to get around. How do I do that? You might wonder. We have a really great ticket. It's called the Swiss Travel Pass. It's really Switzerland with one single ticket. And it includes the following. The Swiss Travel Pass does include train, bus, and boat. So you have a ticket for all those transportation modes. You can go up to Rigistoß, Stanzerhorn free of charge. I actually can show you in a bit how those mountain excursions look like. Then we have public transportation in more than 90 cities included. Free admission to more than 500 museums, and this pass is available for 3, 4, 6, 8 or 15 days. You can have it consecutive, or you can also have it flexible, meaning you can pick your day within a month when you want to use public transportation. And children under the 16 years, they travel for free. I was talking about a few items or things that are included with the Swiss Travel Pass, and that is actually the following one, Stoßfunicular. It's actually the steepest funicular in the world. I just did it for the first time in fall, and it's really amazing. They actually have also one of the most stunning hikes on top of Stoß. It's a ridge hike, so you really overview the Lake Lucerne. Lake Lucerne looks almost a little bit like fjords. So it's a really stunning hike. Already, if you have the chance to go up with the funicular, that's already a really great excursion itself. Then we have the Cabrio Stanzerhorn, another great excursion, very close to Lucerne, about 20 minutes from Lucerne. That is free of charge. And what's unique about this excursion, it has a open air rooftop, so you can really go on top of the gondola and have a cabrio experience on a gondola while overviewing this landscape here. What else? Rigi, Queen of the Mountains, also known as Queen of the Mountain, because Queen Victoria once traveled up there, so they thought, why not using that name? Definitely a catchy one, and also a really exciting mountain excursion, also close to Lucerne. So what you can do actually is you can take the boat from Lucerne to Fitznau. From Fitznau, you board this train and you go up all the way on the top. And on the top, you have really options. You can, if you want to do a hike, you can hike, but there's easy walks. So there's really something for everybody up there. I was also mentioning museums are free of charge with the Swiss Travel Pass. There are 500 museums that are included, and one of them is actually this stunning water castle in Lake Geneva. And you can there learn a little bit more about our medieval history, and it's just a very cool spot to visit as well. For those of you who are into soccer or football, as we call it, there's the FIFA World Museum, also free of charge with the Swiss Travel Pass, and also cool excursion for families. And another one, actually from the region where I am, St. Gallen. They have the Abbey Library in St. Gallen, one of the oldest libraries actually in Europe. Very beautiful old building, which you can visit also with the Swiss Travel Pass, and around is the monastery. So it's a very nice place to visit as well. And I thought we go on a little Grand Train Tour of Switzerland. The Grand Train Tour of Switzerland is actually a train. It's basically a road trip by train throughout Switzerland. And I just put together some famous or must-see sites in Switzerland. We start in Zurich because that's also where the airport is. You could actually also fly into Geneva. They have also direct connections, mainly from JFK, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and also Canada, Montreal. But I decided we start here in Zurich. So Zurich, it's our biggest city, also probably the most well-known city. Very beautiful because you have a great old town, and also the famous Bahnhofstrasse, not to be missed, shopping street, also just for window shopping if you don't want to shop. And of course, on the lake, you can do boat excursions and many other nice things. And a very highly recommendable excursion or experience close to Zurich is the Lindt Home of Chocolate. The Lindt Home of Chocolate features the tallest chocolate fountain in the world. It's about 28 feet tall. You can even book Maître Chocolatier. It's like a chocolate maker, and you can do a chocolate course with him, and you make your own chocolate. So that's always a fun excursion. Nevertheless, if you don't do a workshop, you can also try as much chocolate as you want. Then we travel into the heart of Switzerland. We go into the Jungfrau region, where you see here the red pin. The Jungfrau region, a very popular destination for American travelers, because it really features many sites, many must sites in Switzerland in one destination. So you have, for instance, Interlaken. Interlaken, the name means that it means between two lakes. It's really situated between two lakes, and it is surrounded by the famous Eigermönch and Jungfrau mountains. And it has these really cute mountain villages like Grindelwald or Mürren, and of course also very famous mountain excursions. You see already part of it here in this image. It's called Jungfraujoch, top of Europe. It is the highest railway station in Europe, which is actually this one. And up there, you really find eternal snow. You can go on a walk. Actually, you can walk about an hour on snow, and you end up on another mountain hut where you also can get food. You can also just go on the viewing platform, enjoy the view overlooking here the largest glacier in the Alps, and then a comfortable train ride and a cable car ride brings you down to Grindelwald or Wengen in a very short amount of time. Then we travel further west into the French-speaking part of Switzerland, Lausanne. Lausanne, a very pretty city on the shore of Lake Geneva. And it is also known actually as the Olympic capital. It features the IOC, the Olympic headquarters are there, and also a very cool museum, the Olympic Museum. If somebody is into sports, I would highly recommend visiting the Olympic Museum. Also, Lausanne is situated, I mean, I mentioned it on the lake, but really between beautiful vineyards. So you have the so-called Lavaux vineyards really close by. These are vineyards that are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. They're wine terraces on the lake, and there you can do really nice wine walks. You can do wine tasting. So there's really something for everyone. You can taste really good food. You can also take the boat on the lake and visit different villages along Lake Geneva. Then we go further to Geneva, more a cosmopolitan city in Switzerland. Why? It's a very international city. There is the Red Cross is based in Geneva, many international companies, also the UN headquarters of Europe is in Geneva. And Geneva is really like there where like many worlds collide, and it's just such a vibrant place. And the old town is definitely a must. And also the chateau, which you actually can't miss. Chateau is the water fountain you see there on the right side. It's about, I think about 270 feet tall, so very tall, and the landmark of Geneva. And another really fun and unique thing you could do is in Geneva, if you're into watches, you can build your own Swiss watch in Geneva. There's many watch companies in Geneva. You probably know some, Rolex, Patek, and so on. And there's quite an increase of interest in watchmaking, and people, they really go to Geneva to put together their own watch and then also bring it home. Of course, Geneva also offers a chocolate excursion. There's many more really cool guided tours for the city, so there's plenty to see. From the city, we go into a very, very famous mountain town, mountain village, one of the most famous one in Switzerland. It's called Zermatt. And Zermatt you probably have heard of, or maybe not. It's very famous for this mountain you see here in the back. It's this triangle. It's also well known from the chocolate, the Toblerone bar. So it's really an icon and one of the probably most famous mountains in the world. And Zermatt actually has a really new cool feature, or something that is quite extraordinary, which we have been waiting for a long time. They have now the highest border crossing in the Alps. So what does that mean? So you can go with the gondola over to Italy. So they made this accessible all year round now. It hasn't been there for the summer. So before you could do this while skiing, so you could ski up and then down into Italy and go back with another gondola. But now you can really stay in the gondola. I mean, you have to change it, but do this excursion all year round. So it's a pretty cool excursion. Zermatt obviously also has the Gornergrat railways, another viewpoint in the area with a cogwheel train. So there you really have many options or things you can do. Then I included here a well-known train ride connecting two very famous mountain destinations. First, which I just mentioned, Zermatt, and the other one would be St. and it is the Glacier Express. The Glacier Express is probably the most famous scenic train in Switzerland, but there are many other scenic trains in Switzerland that are as beautiful as the Glacier Express and also offer a lot. I just feature in here now the Glacier. If you have questions about the other scenic trains, or if you want an overview of the other ones, I'm happy also to share those. The Glacier Express is probably the most famous one because it connects these two mountain destinations, and it has the so-called excellence class, which is really a unique thing in Swiss trains. And so far, it is probably the only one with such an elevated train experience. They added this train coach, as the name here says, excellence class. And in there, you get a 5-course meal. You have an iPad which shows you like the sites you're passing with a description. You also have a bar in the coach. So it's a really, really like next level, I would say, train experience. But as mentioned, there's plenty other scenic trains, and they're all unique in its own way. Then we add another language region to the trip. We go down into the Italian-speaking part, also a region which you should not miss because it really adds another layer, another very interesting layer to your Switzerland itinerary, because down there you really have Mediterranean flair. You have, of course, you find palm trees down there. People speak Italian. They sometimes also say people down there are a bit more relaxed. They're not as strict as the Swiss Germans, but it's definitely a nice add-on to the trip, and also something you should consider. Ticino, you see it here, also very look-alike like the Como region. So we have had many interest in Ticino because Como was very overcrowded, so people were looking for alternatives, and we could just tell them, hey, look, consider Ticino. You have the same landscapes. Prices are not as steep as in Como, and also, of course, very alike. Then we also actually call the region Caribbean of Switzerland, not because of the lake. I mean, the lake is also very clear water, but they have these side valleys up in the mountains where the ice cold water from the mountains goes down into the southern part, and it is really like this crystal clear. And in summer, it's really a hub for people to go swimming, sunbathing. It is a bit cold, I have to admit, but it's also already a great site for the eye. So that's really a bit of a hidden gem and something you should do when you visit. Yeah, I think that was it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I don't know how we should do that. You can open the microphone or ask in the chat, and I'm really happy to answer them.
Sure. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. That was beautiful. It's so nice. It feels like we've already gotten a nice trip through Switzerland. While folks are getting to their microphones or typing questions into the chat, which you're welcome to do either, I do have a couple of questions. When we travel to Switzerland, it'll be September, so that might be the beginning of fall.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any recommendations for post-spring for that time of the year?
Yes, it's actually a good question. And I have to say, September, it's one of my favorite times to travel to Switzerland because it's not as busy as in summer. Summer is our most popular season, and September is really a great time where it's still warm. I would say it can go up to 70, 80 degrees, but I would definitely recommend to bring also a jacket with you because the weather can change. It can get a bit colder. And if you do mountain excursions, on the mountain is often a bit windy, so just bring a jacket. But I would not say you need a really thick winter jacket, just a nice, like a little down jacket. That should be enough. So it's not going to be very, very cold, obviously depending on which mountain excursions you do. And otherwise, it can really go up to 70, 80 degrees.
Wow, that sounds really, really pleasant. We do have a question in the chat. Do we have to worry about a language barrier when traveling through Switzerland?
No, not at all. I would say most people, they speak English. It's really, people are very friendly to help you out. And especially the younger generation, they do all speak English. The older ones, I mean, for instance, my parents, they don't speak perfect English, but they can always help out, you know, or like they know how to talk. And no, it's definitely not an issue. And especially in the touristic areas, people speak English, and you should not be worried about that.
Neat. Very cool. And then for currency, is Switzerland on the euro?
No, we have actually our own currency. It's called the Swiss franc. Yeah, you can exchange it. I think you even get it in the US, and we also accept cards and so on. So that's also not an issue.
Easy peasy. Nice. And so for our trip, we'll be going for 7 days. Would you say that's a pretty normal amount of time for people to spend in Switzerland, or should people look to extend their stay a little bit longer so they can see maybe regions or get the chance to experience towns a little bit longer than we might be there?
7 days is definitely good. I always recommend, yeah, about from 7 days onwards, because then you really have the chance to explore, as I mentioned, to go into the different language regions, and that makes it also then quite unique. I mean, if you have time and you find a few more days, I would definitely always recommend to add some more. But 7 is definitely a good amount of time, days in Switzerland.
Right. And feel free again to put any questions that you have in the chat. Some other questions that we have as well is, what's your favorite autumn activity to do in Switzerland?
That's a good question. I mean, what I love in autumn is, and what you should do is a little hike. I mean, it does not have to be a crazy one, just a few, maybe like an hour or a walk, because the trees, the colors, the fall foliage is also happening in Switzerland. I'm sure you also have amazing colors up in Ashland. So that's something I really enjoy. It's like just the colors are changing, and especially in areas like St. Moritz, also where the Swiss National Park is, we have these large trees. And these large trees, they really turn golden in fall. And it's quite a stunning scenery with that. So that's probably one of my tips I would do.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, I'll just take a moment here to look and see if there are any other questions in the chat.
Yeah.
And what's the time difference between the US and Switzerland?
It's from you, it's 7 hours. So they're ahead. So they're in, like, it's middle of the night there now. And yeah, so 7 hours for the Midwest, 9 hours for the West Coast, and 6 for the East Coast.
Perfect. Nice.
And I mean, you can also always reach out. We even ship out brochures. We still do that. If you want that, you know, we have really nice coffee table magazines, or we have really cool Swiss travel system map. It's basically a train map outlining all the train connections. We're happy to also send out a few if you want, or you can reach out to us and we're sending.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that is nice to hear that there are still brochures available out there.
Yeah, we still do that. It's a bit old school, but it's sometimes nice to have. I mean, we try to reduce it as well. But
yeah, we love that. No, absolutely. We do have a question in the chat about the wineries that we kind of touched on earlier. And the question is, do the wineries ship back to the US?
That's actually another great question. Because it is quite rare, I have to say, to find Swiss wine here in the US. It's because we drink all ourselves. No, it's just it's, I mean, in the end, comparing it to the production like worldwide, it's still a small amount that is produced in Switzerland, and most of it is used actually in Switzerland. But if we do events here in the US, we actually often serve Swiss wine. So there are some ways to get it, but it's not in the regular stores.
Sure. That sounds very good.
Mhm.
And is there any of the cities that we touched on tonight, is there a best one to get a nice cup of Swiss hot cocoa?
Oh, and not that I mean, they're all, you will find each city has kind of a history with chocolate. So probably they all would claim they have the best cocoa or like the hot chocolate. So I don't have a favorite actually. I'm sure in all of them you find a good one. Also the ones I didn't mention. I think you also go to Bern. Bern is also, it's amazing. It's actually our capital, and the old town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it's very beautiful to visit and something you can look forward to.
Excellent. It does look like through your beautiful presentation tonight, we will be visiting many of the cities that you touched on, such as Zurich
Nice.
and Lucerne you mentioned, and Zermatt as well, and several others. So it was really nice to get a chance to see those beautiful places and to learn a lot more about Switzerland. I don't see any other questions coming through. If anyone is curious or interested in our escorted tour through Switzerland, we do have more information available at our office or on our website underneath our hosted group tour tab. Other than that, I want to thank everyone again for joining us on this cool evening here in Ashland, Wisconsin and abroad. And thank you, Florence, so much for your time this evening.
Thank you as well. And thank you everyone for joining, and have a great trip to Switzerland.
Thank you.